Well, here we are in the new year. Another question and answer. We have a very special guest.
Yes.
And Bernice, you know this guy over here.
Yes, well,
and you know me.
She still feels sorry for me having to hang out with you. So.
But what people don't realize, behind every great upholsterer is an even greater stitcher or seamstress. Tell us what the difference between a stitcher and a seamstress is, Bernice.
I think a stitcher just stitches things together.
Like an upholsterer.
Like an upholsterer. It might be kind of crude or coarse.
Right.
I think a seamstress pays attention to things like seam allowances and threads and stitch length and some of the finer points about sewing.
Well, one of the things that I noticed when you were teaching Jimmy in his last wing chair class, I mean, this is a big deal because people have been asking for wing chair class for a long time. And this is a real in-depth class. But I couldn't help noticing when you were teaching Jimmy all those little things that that make a seamstress. And really, the value of the class, if the people will really appreciate the value. But how many different points did you make? I mean, Jimmy's coming as a novice.
I'm intimidated by the
how
the
many?
whole thing.
Well, you can review. You can rewrite it.
Yeah.
You know.
Again, like I say, there's always that little lesson or two. Again, let's say, for example, in settee where we had certain things starting out, okay, that's basic, but certain points of it that you say makes the difference to get something else started, which gets you to the end. Here was the same thing with the cushion. It's like, oh my God, I'm like fascinated, like, wow.
One of the things I noticed, I came in a little bit later. I mean, it was a long lesson, but it took you longer to explain than you would have. I should tell people when they see this, it's like me explaining to Jimmy. Things take a lot longer, but we're trying to get all these different points in. That's why it takes long. But I couldn't help noticing that in the brief time that I was towards the end there must have been at least 4 or 5 or half a dozen different points that you were making to him that were all like really valuable.
Yeah, and important. Really important.
You're a great teacher.
Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah, she's the bomb.
Yeah. So the only thing that she can't do though is when you're teaching sewing, unlike upholstery, I noticed there are some disadvantages, I think, because you're sewing the cushion and you have to explain where. I don't know if we could set it up where we have 2 machines and he's doing the exact same thing. I don't think that would work or translate well.
It'd be hard.
Yeah.
It would be hard.
I don't know how you could do the technique with showing and going back and forth. It would be, I think,
It would be up and down, up and
yeah,
down, up and down.
very,
So I
very
think the way you
representative.
did it, the two of you, and I think I commend Jimmy for standing and watching you the whole time.
And asking questions.
And this is what makes it a very interesting class. And tell me, did you find that with Jimmy's questions, like is coming from an amateur standpoint, did you find, were you thinking that, I never thought of that, or I wouldn't have thought of teaching that?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have thought of pointing it out because it's so natural to me. I just do
You
it.
have the same thing.
Well, we have the same.
Both of you are in the same class. You've done it so long, and you know. And again, I think Bernice would be a great teacher. I'm sure she is. And you the same thing. It's a matter of knowing what you know and hopefully approaching with, like, again, the level of everybody being a little bit different. Any novice student coming in would say, oh, okay, what about that? Oh, people are kind of taken back at the same time, but you do have to ask, and I tell everybody, ask a simple question just to make sure you get through that little point to make sure you can go a little bit further rather than just, okay, here we go.
But there's a patience, too, between teacher and student, too. And that his good nature comes through on these. He's patient as well as us. But I had a question. One thing I'm sure, I don't know if people were thinking about this when they're watching this at some point. So it took 2 hours for you to do this cushion. How long normally would it take you to do a cushion if you weren't explaining it to Jim?
Yeah. Generally, I can make a cushion sewing if it's all cut out in a half hour.
Imagine that, Jimmy. So this was a 2 hour. It was the last class.
And I
what do you think of it, Jimmy? When you hear that?
I feel like, my God, I know she was moving along as best she can, and I'm trying to go, okay, lining up, okay, and okay. But still, I mean, I'm still taken back by the skill.
So for those of you who, we're a live show now, but we were talking about who want to learn how to do a cushion. I mean, we've show other cushions too, but this particular one, I think you're going to get a lot of value out of this class.
Oh, yeah.
Really.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely was a different wingback chair than we've had, a traditional wingback chair. And of course, you know, with the buttons and the cushion and just, basically we stripped it down even more than I thought.
Right.
You know, because when we brought it in, you said, "Oh no, you're gonna keep taking more off." I'm
Yeah.
like, what are we doing here? You said you weren't gonna do this, and like, oh God, I thought I was gonna be out of here in like 6 lessons.
That happens sometimes. So
Yes.
I wanted to get back to Bernice and seamstress. I've always knew this. I always said, somebody says, "Are you a seamstress?" No, I'm a stitcher. And the difference is our seams in upholstery, first of all, were 1/2-inch seams, which is what you use as a seamstress. Yeah. But a seamstress will take the time to square up, really precision the corners. And you can see how, you know, Bernice mentioned there are 6 corners, 12 if you include the opposite side, right? But 12 corners, really, that you have to line up, which is really important because fabrics stretches. Every fabric is different.
That's right, and they feed differently through the machine. One of the things that was interesting that it sort of bothered me when I asked you to cut out the cushion. We cut out the top, and then I asked you to just cut out the other side. And I thought that you would just cut it very precisely.
You know what? Cutting the fabric has always been like. Ugh.
What did he do? I didn't see that.
It was a little bit bigger.
He made it a little bit bigger all around, but a 1/4 inch.
Yeah, makes
that doesn't seem like much all around. Makes one side of the cushion way too big.
Right.
And if we're going to stitch with a 1/2-inch seam allowance, you have to cut. Exactly.
Yeah.
I will remember that. I know I will have you on my mind when I do that.
And you have to cut straight lines, and you've got to cut square corners.
It reminds me of the buttons. You see these beautiful buttons here? Jimmy made a nail button, his first nail button. And it was so nice that he made it, but then when he put it on, it tore through, the nail tore through, so we had to make other ones, and we probably will make them.
Yeah, we'll do it next week. But that's another lesson.
We were showing the buttons. You know, you talk about fabrics. Every fabric is different. This is what makes upholstery interesting too. The dynamics. There's different dynamics for every job that you do, because you have different fabrics,
it's
different pieces.
Different.
Yeah, but I actually hand cut all my buttons. I don't use the die. These come with dies.
I know.
Cutting dies. But I don't use them, because every fabric is different. So I cut every fabric though to the sometimes on a heavy fabric, people don't see me do it. I do it so fast unless he's asking the questions. But I'll bevel the fabric just a little bit on a heavier fabric. So I'll tilt my scissors a little bit in order to get a heavier fabric to fit better on the top of the button.
There you go.
Right? So there's little things that you do, those little subtle things that you and I do mechanically. Yeah. But when somebody's learning, you have to express that. You have to express that. On a lighter fabric, I'm cutting right to the circle.
Yep.
Sometimes on a really light fabric, I'm a little bit, just a teeny bit over. So those little subtleties is what makes a better upholsterer. And that's what people who are upholstering, who have been upholstering maybe for a little while, this is still a useful class, I think, for them with those little subtleties. Because I think with your video...
And you know, when you first take a class, you absorb only so much. And sometimes you look at it again and you hear things a little differently, and you get more out of it.
And then you have different styles of learning.
Oh,
so a good teacher will adjust to that. You know, when we're teaching more, and you've taught more than you teach in other things. You do cards. What's the name
bridge.
of that?
I teach bridge.
She teaches bridge.
Yeah.
So you have different learning styles when you teach in bridge, right? I mean, Jimmy's learning style, I don't know how to classify. I think he's an average learner,
Okay.
which is not an insult at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have high achievers that take the class that you have to actually give them, that's a different approach.
Yeah.
And then some people a little bit below it. It's all over the,
It is. Some people want to be shown exactly what's going to happen. Some people just want to be told.
Yeah, yeah.
And don't show me.
I know. I don't
just
do
tell
that.
me how to do it.
No, I'm kind of like, this is all new, so practice and theory for me is monumental in a sense that this is completely new. I wouldn't even know where to begin. It's just, again, with upholstery coming, oh yeah, let me just, tag, sure, no problem. And it's like, like they don't know their left from their right. When was the last time you held a hammer, sir? Oh, that was about 3 years ago. Oh, I think we kind of have to go.
Yeah, and that's another thing. There's different skill levels that come. Sometimes it isn't necessarily good when transferring of skills is always a good thing. Somebody's a carpenter, but sometimes it doesn't work well because their approach might be like, oh, this is easy. And upholstery and cushions appears to be easy, but there's those little subtleties again, and there's different styles.
Even something as simple as holding the scissors.
Yes.
I've watched people holding scissors, and I go, oh, you're going to cut your other hand, or they hold it at an angle.
Let's get a pair of scissors to show what
right
Bernice
there.
is talking about. So when I'm teaching people how to upholster, I'm saying the first thing I like to tell people is that this is like the samurai swords.
Oh, yeah.
They're very sharp. These are as sharp as a samurai sword, or razors.
They should be.
Or they should be. But you get all of your action is done towards the tip of the scissors. Yeah. How many times, this should never be done. If you're cutting up here anything, you're using the scissors wrong, in my opinion. Now, I'm guilty. I'm guilty of cutting my edge roll up here.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do that. But if you have a good pair of scissors, and these are really good, by the way, you're operating down here, and a lot of times you're not cutting, are you? You're just kind of gliding along.
You're pushing.
Right.
You're pushing.
But this is also a safety thing. I mean, if you're cutting up here, if your scissors are getting duller and you're using more of the blade up top here, that's a bad thing because you can have follow through, it's called, if you're forcing and then you cut and your fingers there. That's why another reason when we're working on a piece of furniture, it's a little different on the machine, but when we're working, I'm teaching people you'll see my left hand go almost to my back. Really, when I'm in a situation like that, I don't want my hand around anywhere near the bottom. This is where you really can get hurt in upholstery. But you had another point about your scissors when you're watching people use the scissors. Can you show people the proper way of holding a pair of scissors? As a right-handed person.
That's a right-handed person.
These are right-handed scissors, right?
Yeah. These openings are a little big for my hand, and sometimes if I have to do a lot of cutting, I'll wrap. Do we have fabric? I'll take a long strip of fabric.
This is a trick I didn't even know, Jimmy.
What?
She should be in charge of the show. Why don't you just leave it?
I didn't know this. This is clever. So to make up a difference.
Make up the difference because my hand is small.
Right.
These scissors are made for your hands.
Right.
But I wanted a long blade.
Right.
And when I get a long blade, they also have big hand openings that are often too big for me.
And they don't make a smaller hand opening,
No.
so you make the hand opening smaller.
So I make the hand opening smaller.
Okay. Do you
So I'll
tape it
get
though so it doesn't move?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll take a long strip of fabric and wrap and wrap and wrap until it's the right size for me. So I can
That
then...
is so clever. See,
And sometimes I have to do it on the thumb side as well.
She's a problem solver, you guys. That's what you have to be, Jimmy.
Well, yeah, I mean, you are too. I mean,
well, upholsterers, when they classify the official classification, the first sentence, I think, the government has a classification for every single job known to man.
okay.
And in the upholstery, they say I think it's the first sentence, must be able to problem solve. But isn't it true with almost anything we do?
Every job is new and different.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Each
there's
one's
always
different.
little techniques that you both of you know how to get through the situation.
We should check in to see if there's any comments or questions, Patrick.
Oh, no, not right now.
It's
All
a
right,
quiet day.
You know why? Because they're so intrigued at the conversation.
I
Oh,
said,
just as you said that, we have one comment from Leslie.
Okay.
we should have gone to the bar. I mean, I
Yeah.
think, Bernice, having her a cold, we could probably
Is
help
this
it out a
addressed-
little bit.
It's about with the scissors.
Oh,
So,
okay.
when should you use a long blade or a short blade?
I'll let you answer that.
Okay. Whatever you're comfortable with. Long blades are good for long cuts. If you're doing a lot of tiny cuts, precise little, where you're working just the tips, a shorter blade might be best. So I don't know, these are like 12 inches. So I have scissors of all sizes. These are when I'm cutting on the table and I'm cutting long cuts of border, of
You get
welts.
leverage and you're getting.
And I get leverage.
Yeah,
An important part too is how high your table is for cutting
that's interesting. We're always talking about body language
and
to
ergonomics.
yes.
And your table for doing cutting should be about hip height so that you can bend and reach.
That's a good tip.
So
really
these
good
long blades
Do
are
the new
great
ta-
for long
Patrick and I
straight
talked
cuts.
about putting the table in, so we're going to work on that. I think we
tip.
should.
What do you
Yeah.
think of these? My scissor guy, he convinced me to buy these. And
Kais.
I'm still.
These are whisks.
Yeah. What do you think of these?
Okay. This is nice. I have a whisk pair that is long like this.
Yeah.
And they're about $100 a pair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're nice. But,
They're a
The
little too
standard-
pointy to me.
okay,
Do you see the points?
the point is good. I have Kai scissors, they're from Japan, that I have at the sewing machine
Okay.
that is a little shorter than this
Okay.
even. So I have a blade that's about this long
Okay.
at the machine
That
with
makes
me.
it easier to do what? To cut the ends?
When I'm cutting my welt, if I'm putting welt on
Uh-huh.
and I have to snip,
Ah.
snips like this.
It's harder to
A
snip
shorter
with a big
blade.
pair of scissors, isn't it?
A big pair like this, and I've done it, I go for a little snip and you cut the whole thing
Oh
off.
no, that's like.
And you cut the whole thing off and you gotta, oh
It's a
no, I've
PG
gotta start
sign.
again.
It's no
And you
good.
gotta take it all off.
It's
and
like a tragedy.
it is a tragedy.
We don't have too many of those, do we, Kevin?
Oh no, Jim, you're perfect.
So I mean,
Oh, if
you
you-
use different scissors in different contexts. So these big scissors are at the cutting table. I use them for long straight cuts. The ones that are a little shorter than this, I have at the machine, and I'm doing smaller cuts.
Leslie had a good question, didn't she?
Yeah.
Is there any other questions or comments, Patrick, about tool usage or scissors or sewing a cushion?
Not right now.
Jimmy probably has a million questions about that.
I'm not done on scissors.
I want you to keep going on that. No, because this is something we don't hear. I don't go on
Well, we
about
use it, you know
scissors.
what it is? I think that's one of the quickest tools we use, and you use it and down, and that's it.
Yeah.
We cut the fabric and done.
Yep.
Everything else is like, steps. Everything's a lesson. The side arms, the cushion again, which
Yeah.
is something else.
I want to hear everything Bernice has to say about scissors
Yeah.
because it's really important. It's our most useful, it is our biggest tool that we
Yeah.
use.
Yeah, because
what else do you-
you're using it inefficiently. So you'd use a big pair like this. At the sewing machine, in addition to a shorter pair, like maybe a 5 or 6 inch pair, I have thread snips,
Oh,
which are just a little thing about this long and they're spring loaded.
Are they anything like the side cutters?
Nope.
No.
No.
I use these sometimes.
Oh gosh. So
No,
it's
the-
just two little short blades,
Yes.
and they're spring-loaded.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've seen them, almost like finger clips.
Yes.
fingernail
Almost like
clippers.
fingernail
Yes.
clippers type
Yeah.
of thing.
Maybe you should take an upholstery class.
But
She
at
can
the,
teach me a lot about
Oh
sewing.
my God!
at
Let's
the
like.
machine, you know, I have to open stuff up like this, so I need good tips to do this.
Good pointed tips.
Yes. Good.
I'll tell you why
tips
I
that
don't
cut
like.
well.
You go on. I'll tell you why I don't like too pointed tips when I'm upholstering. But you go on.
Oh.
For what you're doing now, that's what you need.
I need just to be able to cut open a tiny bit. And then later on, I'm trimming. You know, I'm trimming at an angle. So I'm just using the last 1.5 inches of the scissors. And when you get your scissors sharpened, your sharpener has to know what you're using the scissors for.
Let's talk a
Oh.
little bit about that.
Because some of them think a scissor like this, you're not using the last inch. So they'll optimize for back here. And you won't be able to cut with the tips.
So for an upholsterer, where would you like to, and for a seamstress, and I'm going to ask you one more question if you can remember it. I want a barber, a seamstress, and an upholsterer, and this different, the different sharpening that you would do on each one of those scissors, regardless of the length or anything. Just the method, because I'm learning. I don't know this.
Yeah.
Well, we have now the voice of authority here.
She knows the answer because she's
You're
shaking her head, yes.
gonna come back next week. You just you got yourself a
There'll be
contract.
more questions. Yeah. But so when I've had my big scissors sharpened, they ignore the tips, and I get so that I can't use the tips
That's no good.
anymore.
No.
That's not good.
Oh, so then that's why I have other scissors.
Right.
So
Oh,
the
so you don't
smaller
mind
scissors-
that. You don't mind that those don't perform at the end. You
Yeah.
you like that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
When I'm using these, I'm using the bigger part of the blade.
Okay. Okay.
And the bigger the blade is, the straighter the cut you can make.
Right. Right. And the heavier, it doesn't even matter. The heavier. Some fabrics will snare. I know that.
Yeah.
And you still have to go to your cutting method
Yeah.
instead of the gliding.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
you've got to
that-
actually cut.
yeah.
And make sure you're cutting square
Right.
with your arm.
Right.
You're not like this, cutting at an angle or cutting at an angle. You've got to cut straight. This is on the bottom. And this blade is right above it.
Well,
You
when
know,
you
not
cut it
at
at
an
an
angle.
angle, do you wear out the blade, or do you? It doesn't
No,
do it.
you just
okay.
get inefficient cuts
Okay.
or bad cuts.
Okay. Okay.
So tell us about the angles. Speaking of angles, people don't. We don't recommend. I don't recommend you sharpen your own scissors.
No,
I recommend a professional scissor sharpener.
yeah. But you have to get a good one.
Yes. Why?
And hard to find.
They are hard to find. But why don't you explain why that is? That
Well, so here's the thing between these scissors and these scissors. These American scissors are beveled at a certain angle. And I think the angle is something like 15 degrees or 20 degrees. These Kai scissors, the angle is different. And
but
so
there is an angle.
there is an angle that they sharpen on. And that angle, yeah, so this is made in Japan. If they sharpen these scissors at the 20-degree angle instead of the 15-degree angle,
It's going to make a difference.
it's going to ruin the scissor.
Interesting.
So, what these people, the Kai people, I call them because these were exquisite scissors at the beginning. And then after a couple of months, they started going dull. And I said, where should I have them sharpened? And they said, oh, you have to send them back to us.
Oh, that
Oh my
doesn't
God.
And I go, I have to send my scissors back to Illinois?
work. You can't do
And
that.
I said, I can't do that.
So scissors aren't one size fits all. It has to be.
No.
No, I knew a fella who would sharpen his own scissors with the file, and we always knew.
The file?
Yes.
Well, you know.
We always knew it's impossible to freehand that angle. You need
There's
a
a
guide.
precise angle.
You need a guide.
Yeah.
They have the machinery to do it. So we do recommend that you find a good scissor sharpener. And a man who's sharpening knives isn't necessarily the guy you want for your scissors, and vice versa maybe.
Yeah.
So.
But you gotta have a versatile guy who knows the different styles of scissors out there. Like again, I wouldn't know. You hand those to me, say sharpen them. Okay. You know.
I'm fascinated by this conversation. I see Patrick's yawning over there. But really.
Well, for us,
this is really interesting. Now, is there any other comments or questions, Patrick, on there?
No, not right now.
Good. We can get back into the show.
That's right. We started a little late, and I know that usually there's a little bit more interactive stuff, but we want people the people who are going to watch this in reruns, and we do have people from Australia who watch and from overseas who watch.
Nice.
I think that we're going to get a lot of comments on this.
Yeah, I called it the Happy New Year special, but I'll change it to the scissor.
The scissors.
I think you should. 'Cause we could talk more about it.
If I had known, I would have brought you
Right.
the 4 or 5 scissors that I use all the time.
I am curious about a barbershop scissors because I don't know the answer to this. What type of you don't want too sharp on the end, I would imagine, on the scissors on a barbershop.
No, and in fact, a good sharpener, after they're finished sharpening this part, kind of cuts that edge off.
Yes, because you don't
To
want it
dull
pointy
it.
like a spear. You
No.
don't want to.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, none of these, I mean, I can push my finger on them,
Hey, Randy.
and they're not that sharp.
Right. Right.
So they have dulled.
This is
the
really
tips.
interesting. So a good pair of scissors can really be a pleasure, and a bad pair. Now, I hate to say it, Jimmy.
No, I'm sorry. Malcolm says I sharpen my own shears, but I have a very accurate jig to hold them.
Ah, see.
To ask him, we'll ask him because we're live. I wonder if he has the degrees that he needs, because it's kind of hard. You have to know, don't you? Is it 15 or 20? We don't really know.
How would you know? I mean, you know by telling us, but how did you know even before that? Did you just say, oh no, it's just simple like, okay, pair of scissors, here we go, cut.
But if you had a little micrometer,
Yeah.
you could measure
I was
it.
just going to say
Okay.
that, yeah.
You can,
Yeah.
There are tools to measure it.
Yeah.
And
Malcolm is one of our viewers, and he's really he's an upholsterer, and he's got some really, no pun intended, but some pointed questions a lot of times. And scissors
That's
are
good.
really kind of, everybody thinks they have the answers to scissors, right?
Well, I mean, it's a simple thing. Scissors, you say, oh yeah, there you go. Okay, these cut, and that's all you know.
But the swords, the samurai swords. Now you said that I watch a little bit of something on samurai swords, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that it took them 6 months to make one blade?
Really?
And these swords, some of them are 500-600 years old, and they stay sharp.
Oh yeah.
They stay sharp. They're so well made. But of the two scissors, but I guess I can't ask this question because you use different. You're like Edward Scissorhand. She has all these different scissors.
Just as I have 6 different sewing machines. I use different sewing machines for different projects.
You have 6 sewing machines. Are you guys listening to this? Come on, I have one Juki.
You know what, Kevin? All of a
Hand
sudden
over
you're
here to my
boring.
one lonely. I know I'm a boring. My one lonely Juki over here.
Yeah.
Tell us about-
Randy sends his scissors out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sharpen.
Randy's an upholsterer out in Wisconsin. That's been a great fan of ours and a great supporter.
We're
We
actually trying to
appreciate
get funds together for a field trip. For
Oh,
that,
that
but
would be
that's-
fun.
Yeah.
I wonder, does he mail them out or does he just bring them to somebody local? But
He just says sends out.
He
so
sends
that's
out.
what- Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet he's got somebody really good.
yeah.
But this fella,
Malcolm answered your question. I think we were talking.
what's that?
Well, different brands have different bevel angle. One pair I have are knife edge, which both angles are different.
Yeah.
Wow.
The top blade and the lower
You were
blade.
about to say that. We
Yeah.
interrupted you. You were
That's
talking
right.
about the bottom blade,
Yeah.
and then you were about to talk
About
about
the top blade again. They
So if
can
you're
be different.
filing
Oh.
You're filing straight. Don't file your scissors.
It's
you
not
guys.
like sharpening your lawnmower blade.
Right.
It's a
Or even a knife. A knife is straight edge, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting.
But even with the kitchen knives, again, I think it's a different. Now we're talking about different makers and stuff. You say, oh well, you need this and you need that. It's not like people think you just simple do it and there you go. It's going to be sharp. You wonder how long is it going to stay sharp.
But we've had classes though with Jimmy struggling with the pair of scissors, and I think Randy mentioned it on one of the online classes. I always felt bad.
Yeah.
But Jimmy says he's ambidextrous. I'm not so sure. I think you do favor. Maybe I should ask you.
Yeah. Well,
Do you favor one hand or not?
No.
Because-
When I cut, I can cut with both, but my accurate is the left.
So we got you a left-handed pair of scissors.
And they weren't that good.
And you didn't like them.
No, because I've always had the right-handed style.
yeah.
So you need a right-hand pair of scissors, but it's
Is that gonna be-
not your dominant hand. So some of the classes, you see Jimmy struggling with the cutting, and I haven't really been too focused on
And you
it.
watch him struggle.
I
And do you think he comes to my?
Does he help?
Jimmy, you okay there? All right, yeah. See you in 10.
I don't do it intentionally. I just move on, Jimmy. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah, you can do it, Jimmy. Day 3, but we're going.
Oh, but it is an important lesson, isn't it, to have a good pair of scissors?
Well, again, all the equipment.
Yeah.
It's this. I mean, we use scissors so quickly with again cutting the fabric, but again, it's knowing what you're doing with it.
Now we
And
do
with the-
sin. We are all sinners when it comes to
Oh,
we're
yeah.
all sinners, and I have to admit one sin that I commit with these scissors is I cut.
You cut paper?
I don't cut paper.
You cut Dacron?
I
That was just somebody just said something about that. On here.
what?
Leslie says, "What do people use to cut foam and Dacron? It has dulled my scissors."
Oh,
Absolutely.
I didn't know Dacron would dull your scissors.
It'll kill a pair of scissors
So you know what the best way to cut
in like
Dacron?
15 minutes.
It really would, really.
Oh, it does.
So
You
tell
didn't
us.
know that one then.
No, I didn't. Yeah,
Well,
what is
maybe-
it like
maybe-
sandpaper?
Yeah.
Oh my
But
God.
I do
Well,
cut.
maybe you could use like a razor, like you say. You
Oh
don't.
no,
use
I don't own a razor in my upholstery shop. I hate them, and I hate box cutters.
Oh, that's
I
how
hate both of them.
I
I
cut
know. We
myself.
cut ourselves.
A lot
and
of
you
blood.
yeah, and that's one reason. But the other reason is when you're working with upholstery and you're working around wood, and you like you always seem to extend the cut, or because you're putting your weight behind it, and you extend into a piece of wood.
Oh,
That's a bad.
A
That's hard
gouge
to
is a
fix.
gouge.
Yeah,
It's-
that's. I don't own. Never liked them. One day I did what you said. I just won't talk about it. But I did get hurt bad. That's probably why I don't like them. But a good pair of scissors will take the place of any type of razor that you're going to have in the class. But I was about to say and show you. You're gonna just probably hit me on the wrist when I show you this. Where is my ply grip? I want to show people who don't
I
know.
just had it because it fell when you went
Yeah,
by.
who don't know what ply grip is, but it's this metal beneath.
my God! I'm horrified.
Yes. If you say the wrong
Look
thing,
at
he
that.
wraps you up in it.
Razor wire.
So people say, why don't you use the snips? Well, the snips don't really. So the reason I do use them, and they dull the scissors, but it's really worth it to me. So these leave a sharp edge, right? So maybe Randy or Malcolm can give me a better advice. But by the way, you have to be really careful when you're cutting these, right, Jimmy?
Yes,
you need
they will-
protective
they
It
will
nails.
says
spit
metal
back.
snips.
Yeah.
Metal snips.
Like,
They're a little heavy.
yeah.
I don't like using them. They're a little heavy. They don't. You know what the scissors do? The scissors give me a rounded edge. I take the scissors and I round the edge because that's a sharp edge.
Sure.
So when I try to
It
do
snags things.
when I try to do it with, I can't do it with the snips. I'll try.
No.
It,
Did it
it
work
doesn't
that
give me.
No.
Not really.
No,
Okay.
because the cut cuts all at once.
Yes.
It's not cutting.
That's right. With the scissors are beautiful
It's a go.
because they go right around.
Yeah. Well, what you have to do is what I do. I have an old pair of wrists like this
Yeah.
that I've got to be 20 years old,
Right.
and those are my Dacron scissors.
You have Dacron.
I have
Are you,
scissors.
hey, Randy
I have
and
an
Malcolm, are you
old pair
having
of
this?
scissors, and I just cut that sheet Dacron.
She has Dacron, but can I give you a little tip on Dacron? You might be surprised at this tip.
Okay.
Maybe I'm going to teach
Maybe
you
not.
something.
I
can teach
I can
Bernice
learn.
something. Do we have Dacron? Let me get some Dacron. Well, this is fun, you guys.
Bernice has to come more.
I know. Do I have a piece of Dacron? Oh no. Well, I don't. But I.
You rip it, don't you?
Yeah, but it only rips good in one direction.
Yeah.
Right? But with the cotton's the same thing.
Yeah.
Really. So it's all about when you're cutting Dacron to fit around a cushion or on a piece of furniture. It's always about feathering, because
Okay.
you don't want to leave a sharp edge. Believe it or not, or I wouldn't say a sharp edge, but a machine edge
Yeah.
on even a cushion wrap. You want to you want to pick it.
Okay.
So you can actually, if you know how to cut it with your hand, and you know the direction that's easy, one direction is always going to be easier than
Yeah.
another direction.
Yeah.
You can actually feather it and then glue it. Glue
Okay.
it together
Okay.
with the spray glue on like a cushion wrap. We call
Okay.
them
Those edges?
book wraps.
Okay.
Right? Yes, and so the front of the cushion's always got the nice edge, and the
Yeah.
rest of it is feathered, and then you can glue. It's the same thing when you're doing upholstery on the outside. And we're always big on this, right, Jimmy, about
Yes.
feathering, never leaving a machine edge. And now I learned
Or
something.
a straight cut edge?
What
yeah.
about cutting cotton with your scissors? Is that a little bit better?
I think it would be better, but it would still not be good. I would not use my good scissors.
I can never remember a time when I cut cotton with my scissors.
I don't think I've ever done it either.
Because it's so easy to feather. The
Yeah.
Dacron's a little trickier to feather. You really have to hold it down and then feather.
When I pull it apart, sometimes I'm trying to feather it. I get fat parts and skinny parts and no sense of accuracy.
Yeah. Is there any other questions or comments, Patrick?
Well,
Before
Randy agrees. I have more scissors than I want to admit. He has the good fabric-only scissors.
Well, then you'll start now. This will be the guide for you when you decide.
Well, I do have
Dick-
about 10 scissors at the shop.
We'll have to
But
decide.
You know what they are? They're all in a line. They get dull.
Yeah.
And I put them away.
Yeah.
They're not really for a specific purpose, Bernice. I hate to tell you. I use them. Once I have a sharp pair of scissors, I'm using them for
Everything.
cutting Dacron. I'm using them for snipping my wire edge.
Yes, but now you have
Jimmy's
the
going to
classes.
defend me.
No, I'm not going to defend you. No. What I was going to say is, now you have 6 or 8 pairs of scissors, different styles, like these here, like the red-handled ones, okay? Now you're using them for everything, and now you get the classes. Everybody's grabbing a pair of scissors.
I know.
Yes.
Now
That's
we're different fabrics, different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am challenged with the classes and people picking up scissors, and then what is the worst sound you can possibly imagine? Bernice, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
The worst sound in an upholstery shop that you can ever imagine is a pair of scissors hitting the cement floor, point down.
Point
Jimmy,
down.
Point
Yeah.
down. Or
Or
not flat.
anyway.
Not, anyway, she said she's right.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's always.
Anyway, if you drop scissors, however they land, wherever position they're in, will nick. Because these blades,
Oh, they'll hit together.
they'll hit together, and you'll get a nick.
You see that?
See-
It happens
So
almost
then
every
they'd be
class.
worthless.
So you can just drop a pair of nice scissors like this and just ruin them.
Wow. That happens almost every class.
Oh my God.
Not with me.
Well,
I try to keep
We
my.
have
I try
carpets
to
in
use
here,
what I
Lisa.
have. I'm trying to keep my things together at all
I
times.
know. Actually, show us can you get your toolbox? Let's.
Where is the bag?
We're about to
Right here,
witness.
Jimmy.
We're about to witness something incredible.
Oh.
This is Jimmy's little toolbox that he has that he's put together for himself, a custom.
Bug out bag.
This is what we call a journeyman's toolbox.
Okay.
It's not really a box. It's a leather.
More like a bag.
What do you call that? An army bag? Or
Yeah, you
what are you
call
gonna
it-
do? Jump out of an airplane and
Well, yeah. Here's the scissors. Here's my scissors, Bernice. But
bring the whole thing over here. We want to see. Put it on the.
What's in my bag?
Want to see what you got in
This
there?
segment.
Felix the cat, the wonderful, wonderful cat. Nobody knows what that is.
Oh, is it nice and sharp?
Jimmy, what do you think is Jimmy's scissors?
They fit my hand well, and they've got that nice cushioning.
Are they left-handed or right-handed?
They're right-handed.
And I can cut with those.
Yeah.
And you can.
For me, it's a pretty short blade. I would never use it on the big, on the table.
Okay.
But I would use these at the machine or for precise work. They're nicely weighted.
You're happy with
Let's
this,
see what
huh?
else we
What
got
else
in
do we got?
Jimmy's bag. What would you, as a seamstress, I think I know what a seamstress, what do you think about this and when you're teaching somebody how the seams, right?
Oh, the half-inch seam.
This is perfect.
It's a half-inch seam, yeah.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
So you can line that up to get people.
Yeah.
We take for granted that we can probably with our eyes closed do a
Eyeball,
half-inch
half-inch.
seam.
Yeah.
But it's not really as easy for a beginner. Like I tell Jimmy a half-inch, I come and there's a foot seam.
Yep. And,
Not that bad.
and I'll tell you, I've done this.
Remember, the lights could go out at any second here.
We're having fun. Because we got, what the difference is? We got somebody very knowledgeable.
We have
here.
somebody to bounce off of. Thank
Right.
God, because
Right.
I'd be down on the ground. I'd have to be showing.
We were bouncing off you so much, you're like a basketball court.
Yeah. You say that.
When I
now.
teach slipcover making,
Yeah.
we pin fit onto the chair, and then afterwards, we're working on the table, and we have to trim a half-inch seam allowance from where we've pinned. So we have a line of pins, and then you have to cut a half-inch out. And I give people
You
a
do?
strip of this, and I said, this is a half-inch. Lay this along your pins, and either use a pencil or just cut
Wow.
to get them a precise half-inch seam allowance. Because if you don't cut a good half-inch seam allowance, you can't sew a half-inch seam allowance, and then your slipcover will never fit.
It's interesting.
But we do use
we
this.
use this a lot on upholsteries, And Jimmy what we do with Jimmy is on the outsides, arms and
Yeah.
wings on this, we show two different styles of upholstery. It would be pre-World War II, post-World War II. Pre-World War II would be using this against the welt and hand stitching.
Yeah.
Post-World War II would be the ply grip.
Yeah.
And so we show both in this
Yeah.
wing chair. But let's see what else Jimmy has
Yeah,
in his
yeah.
little bag of tricks. I'm really interested to see what else. Well, he's now this is
What's this?
Oh, that's.
oh.
And you live in Massachusetts.
What was it?
Done?
That's okay, Jimmy.
I
We-
said, I
we-
need something, I grabbed it. I said that.
Now, what do you think about a measuring tape? Do you like this? I mean, I'm getting cut just looking at it. Look at the ends, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes, I've seen.
Buy yourself a new one.
Well, I had that on my Christmas list, but Santa didn't show up.
He didn't measure up.
Yeah.
And you don't need 16 feet.
You never know. That
could
fabric
get-
could run away. I mean, I could have that extra.
I've seen these little guys start at the half-inch, by the way. So when you're measuring, you're always a half of an inch off, unless you remember that it's a half of an inch
Yeah.
that starts on.
Right.
It's crazy.
If anyone said there's any Band-Aids in there.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
Yeah, a
they
couple
should
of.
be. They should be.
Let's see what else is in here.
You're so happy. It's like,
Oh, this is-
like my God.
This is the most pristine
Have you ever used it?
Yes.
Have you ever used this? Is
I
called
use
a
it. Actually, I
gooseneck.
use it on the class that I have on Thursday nights.
Look at how beautiful it is. There's a little stain on it.
Yeah, but the handle,
Isn't
it's
it
like
beautiful?
you've never touched it.
I polish it after class.
Jimmy, where did you get all these beautiful tools, by the
Oh
way?
well, yeah, there's some site I don't know.
Osborne, I mean, it's a
Oh, no.
classic.
I think he gets them in Upholstery on Broadway.
I know.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, we have a good plug, everybody.
But it's a good,
Except for the clench it. Let me bring that up again.
it's a good quality.
Well, you know what?
We have a lot
I
more.
need to find furniture
We have a
for
lot
that.
more stuff in here, Bernice. I hope you can stay for a little longer. 'Cause you
Oh my
never
God,
know.
you're gonna have to give her a weekend away in Aruba. Now that's just
What
the
are these,
needles.
dynamite sticks? Where's the wick?
Dynamite stick. Open it up, man.
Oh, it opens?
What do you got in there,
Oh, wow.
Jimmy?
Needle.
Oh, needle.
That's a cool little kid.
I don't
That's
even
cool.
have one of
I
these.
don't have
Wait a
one
minute,
of
show
those.
people what it is. Show people what it's used for, or tell people what it's used for.
Well, you tell me.
It's only one specific thing that's
One
used for.
needle.
That's it. Well, there's 2 of them in there, I believe.
Here's another one, but what's that used for, Jimmy? That's a button needle, right?
Yeah.
And it's only
Or a
used for
tufting
buttons.
needle.
You can't use it for regulating. And
No.
regulating's
Well,
a different-
actually, that's what I said to you
You'll
today.
bend that needle if you use it for regulating.
Oh,
Regulating's a little
you think I
heavier.
don't know that? You think I don't know that?
I'm just
you think
testing you. This is your test.
You think this is my first upholstery class?
Do those cases come with that? Or
That's
Yeah.
a pretty cool
Oh,
thing.
It's
cool.
really nice.
Now, what has he got there? More button needles?
Yeah.
Jimmy's
What
going to go on a
really
tufting
heavy
bender
duty.
one of these days.
Yeah,
with
well,
these
that's the
needles.
next project. We gotta have a. I'm looking for a sofa with a little bit of class.
We got
on it.
one. We somebody found one on the Facebook and they were talking about it. What else do we got here? Ooh, you know what? I like
I
these.
like these.
You like
these
those?
feel good on my hand. I like those little snips.
Randy wants to know where you got those needle tubes.
Oh God,
So if it comes with it. what
Did they
kind of-
come with the needle when you bought the needles?
yeah. I think
Little
I don't know. Remember where I got them?
Whenever I bought needles, they always came like wrapped up in paper.
In a package or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, simple. Yeah,
package.
these. Yeah, I don't know
This is
why they came up.
quite nice.
I think. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it protects. I
There's
think.
no,
Pretty good.
no brand on that or
I
anything?
grab those
Oh,
from
no.
you.
Oh.
And then he's
There's
got
no
another
money. There's
pair
no
of
money in
snips.
there if you want to really know.
I hope there's nothing personal in here. Oh, we won't bring that out, Jimmy. Oh my goodness.
Nice.
We get a
Oh,
little
my
personal
God.
here, Jimmy.
Yeah. Why,
Checkbook.
hey, why
I'm just kidding.
don't you come by the apartment? I can show you around. You know.
Look what he's got there. Aren't those cute little needles he's got?
These are all back up here.
This is, then he's got he's got 2 other sets of needles.
Okay.
And we talk about the size needles that he's got. He's got, those are hand stitching needles.
Stitch curved needles.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for hand stitching mainly,
And
right?
darning.
What else was in there?
You got a nickel.
When I took,
That's for your troubles. Put that in a money market fund. See, in about 30 years, it'll be $1.
Now, Jimmy, this is the tape measure that I like. I really do. Don't you like using tape instead of the other tape measure? Don't you
Oh,
like
yeah.
using a soft tape
I
measure?
have a soft tape. And I always have a 60-inch tape and a 120-inch tape.
Oh, okay.
Do you have 120 inches?
No, I don't.
Yeah. What the hell? What kind of upholstery?
Tell you, we're sitting with the genius here.
Well,
Okay.
how's
Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
long was that the world's longest sofa? You need it for that.
Well, that was 125 or 130 inches long.
How'd you figure that out with the tape measure?
Well, I strung a couple of yardsticks together.
He used a needle at number 1 and went all the way down. Yeah. All right.
That was
yeah.
pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Okay.
else do we got in your little
That was
bag?
tough though as well, Jimmy.
We have some tags.
Tags, good.
Of course.
You never know.
Would say there. He's got a pair of regular pliers, which sometimes come in handy.
Yeah.
Right?
I
And-
just, I have needle nose pliers. Does he have needle nose pliers in there?
No,
he
I
doesn't.
don't.
But
You
my-
need them.
He's got a little pocket knife that I think is a good thing to have for an upholsterer.
Nice. You
He's
went to
got-
Portland, Maine.
I did. Went all the way up there.
We learned a lot from looking in this bag. We
I
know
know.
that Jimmy likes Maine.
He likes Maine.
We know that he likes.
There's no gift certificates for a couple of restaurants up. Did you like lobster, by the way?
Oh my gosh.
Oh God.
We owe her a lobster lunch or a lobster dinner, Jimmy.
We'll go. You know what? We'll go to that place where I can't mention on the.
Beep.
You've
up in
already
Maine.
mentioned other things.
I'll
Why
say
not?
Kittery. Kittery, Maine does.
Bob's.
We'll put this back
Bob's
in.
Claim House.
No, this is Roberts.
Robert, that's across the street.
Yeah, she knows. We're going.
I think we've satisfied our
I think
curiosity.
we need to take a day off and let's do the field trip, everybody.
Yeah, to Wisconsin.
I like
Yeah, well, we
Jimmy's
can go
assortment.
run.
I like Jimmy's little assortment here.
That's a cool bag. I didn't even know it was a tool bag.
See, Bernice made out. She's gonna have a lobster pie.
So what else? Now, is there any other comments or questions, Patrick? This
No,
segment?
we're actually pretty ended up staying for the whole thing.
I
Nice.
know. She's a good sport because she's
I know,
not.
she-
Her voice is not the best. Now, are we caught up on all our business, Patrick, this year?
Yeah, that not many submissions, but Happy New Year is one thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So if today was the last class with Jimmy, the wing bag, next week is the last shell bag, if you believe it or not. They're
Wow.
all posted already.
So you're gonna be doing the wingback soon. I mean,
They
what,
take a little time to start filming our next thing.
Right.
Kayla, actually.
Yeah,
Right? And
yeah.
Then, that will be posted. The wing back will hopefully be out by the
can't wait to
Right.
see the thumbnails on your wingback. You
Yeah,
got Jimmy
Jimmy
flying in
flying.
a 747.
You guys are just
He's got
so-
little angel wings.
I was just thinking I put some wings on
You know
the
what?
chair.
Give him little turkey wings, you know.
Oh, you guys. You see what I gotta deal with? And I don't get paid
Yeah,
for
Malcolm
this.
took the
Remember
shell
that.
back, but I know,
I've
Malcolm,
never
thank-
gotten paid.
Malcolm, thank you for letting me know about those editing errors. I don't know, that did not do that while we were filming.
What happened?
Something happened. There's like a little fuzz in the background. A couple of the
Oh,
the
really?
throws and the yeah. So thanks for.
Can you
I
go
am-
back there and fix it?
No, it's been posted now. But
Oh, that's
I can
too
put
bad.
something in the description. To say
Yeah, I want to touch on the editing portion of what I mean. Patrick and Michaela are behind the scenes. They're quiet. They don't really get any thunder, you know. He's a thunder guy. I'm a thunder. Not you.
Wait,
you don't
wait
go
a
on.
minute. You're
But
a
he
little.
likes to talk a little bit about
Yeah,
himself
never-
and about
never
his
noticed.
accomplishments and all that, you know. But those two don't talk at all, and the editing is really
It's important.
tedious.
Oh,
It's lengthier than the filming. It's
Yes.
more time than the filming.
absolutely.
And then he has to advertise, and you know, we do have a narrow audience of upholstery and seamstresses and people who are willing to do this.
Oh, it is getting wider.
It's getting wider, but it's requiring a lot of work. This is a lot of work, and they deserve a lot of the credit. It's behind the scenes. People don't realize it. Some people do. Some people, our people appreciate it. I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I think, like anything else, if you know the audiovisual side of things, you do get a better
I
understanding.
know this much about it to
I
know
don't either.
that they're amazing.
Well, the only
Yeah.
reason I know about a little very like that much is the fact that again with that foolish 5-second cameo I had in that movie. when I-
Jimmy, we will say, Jim, you brought it up, Jimmy.
Oh, God
He's a
almighty.
member of SAG, and we have to pay him royalties. And he was in a movie called The American Gigolo. No. What was the movie?
You're talking about
the town.
The Town.
It was set in Boston.
Yes,
Pretty sure that was Rob Schneider.
I was in 5 seconds of it. Everybody was calling me left and right saying, "Oh, you're in the first scene. Oh my God, yeah, you had a big scene." Da-da." And I'm looking at it. I didn't look at it till a year later, and I'm like, blip. Like I tell people, if you blink, you'll miss me.
Yeah.
And
But you're there.
well, no, talking to the guy said, with this scene that you do 3 or 4 different times, literally it's like 2 or 3 hours of film time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they only for like 15, 20
make-
seconds to blend everything together. And I thought, what?
It's magic.
But they
Yeah.
still use a lot of the older techniques like the sound. Do they have the booms and all that? The big stuff.
Yes, in this occasion with this setting, there was none of that.
What they have? They didn't have just a camera, an iPhone.
No, they
did
had cameras set up all around the
Right.
area, so there was like different angles. They obviously when they put it together, they had
That's the magic.
yeah. So they had a camera on us, camera on like say
But
it
they-
just blended
but they-
off.
We have a question for Bernice.
Oh, Bernice.
Bernice,
Wait, what?
Leslie wants to know, do you have a website?
No, I don't.
But you can be found all over Upholstery on Broadway.
Well, wait a minute, aren't you featured on, our Upholstery on Broadway? But don't you have some other videos that you did for some other organization?
No, I've taught with the Slipcover Network, and I'm
Okay.
part of the Slipcover Network. I taught in their conferences for over 13 years.
Has any of that been taped, videotaped?
No.
Well, no, that's a
Oh.
shame.
They have a lot of still pictures, and they were encouraging me to make videos
But we
of
did
my
a video.
slipcover teaching.
We
teaching.
did
We
footage
have
of
the,
us.
what was it, the club chair?
The
What
club
was the
chair.
first one? Was it the dining chair?
The armless chair,
Yeah.
Parsons chair.
Parsons chair, yeah. And actually, you could get both classes. I put a Bernice
Yeah.
package together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you just get her classes if you want.
But I mean, she is, as you can see, you
And I
guys.
want her to do another class.
Yeah, if she's got she's a good sport. You could see that Bernice is a wealth of information, really. I mean, we talked almost an hour, but just about scissors, Patrick. Just to give you an
Well, Leslie
idea.
really enjoyed it.
Well, it's better than some of those old upholstery stories, Kevin.
I
mean,
know,
I mean,
especially
Better
I
than
know.
coconut fiber every week.
We keep
Yeah.
rerunning those. they don't get any funnier. But,
Well, that's when you should stop.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
did
So
want to
Leave them
mention.
wanting a little more.
He never does.
Okay, this is the part of the show where we say goodbye.
So you did, Jim?
Do we have any other business, Patrick? Now you're going to be doing you're going to be posting the wing chair, and you guys
In
need
the spring, yeah.
if you want to see Bernice really in action, this would be a good
This is
one
a
to
great,
commission.
great lesson.
Right.
And
And I
Jimmy,
proposed to them a class with those two.
I think
Forget about you.
if they're both willing to do it. I left today, and I
Well, I like, you know,
was
I
down-
think
I was
since-
depressed. I went and had a cup of coffee while they were having fun in here doing their show.
Well, you know, we owe this lovely young lady a lobster dinner or a lobster.
Hey, Randy said he wants to join you for the lobster dinner.
Oh well, hey, I'm good. We already know where we're going.
That's right. So any other business, Patrick? How about subscribers? Where we would subscribe?
Almost 22,000.
22,000 people actually subscribe, saying that they like Jimmy. I don't know.
I think that's fudged a little bit.
You have a lot of relatives?
I have
That is a good point.
actually, they
It's all gonna be
manipulate
set
the
up.
names a lot, so they kind of, yeah, they
It's
do
all
that,
gonna be
you know,
set
like,
up,
you know, Jim, this, job, you know, I mean, they do, you know, a lot of first names, a lot of, yeah, they kind of.
What'd you say,
Yeah, I think it
Mikhail?
could all be Jimmy on
Said
22,000
multiple
accounts.
emails.
Multiple what?
Multiple emails.
Yeah. Jimmy got 200,
See what I get?
22,000 emails.
I get abused here. My therapist said it's going to stop someday, but I don't know when.
You know, when Michaela says something, I want to listen to what it is, because she doesn't often say
That's
something.
right. And of course, she's piping in on the old Kennedy humor. So.
Well, anyhow,
We made it to the hour mark, so.
yeah, that's good.
Oh my God! Yeah, we gotta.
So I think that we're gonna, Jimmy, can we close with you talking
No,
about...
you can close this. Yeah. You
Well,
can-
I wanted you to talk a little bit about
No,
your
you
chair.
do. You,
Oh,
well, you helped out so much with this. I'll tell you. I mean,
Thank
this
you.
was such a unique wingback chair. I thought it was going to be a traditional one. I had no idea what this was going to turn out to be, and it definitely a lot more, few
But
more
if you
lessons
were
than I
in,
thought.
if you were in a showcase, like, and you were advertising an automobile, and you were one of those
I'm
beautiful
not.
long-legged models.
I tell people,
And you were- and
don't
you
be
were-
a
Just pull the plug now.
Instead, you're a stocky leg, hairy leg model. I understand, but just for a minute, pretend like you're one of these beautiful models, and you're
Why don't you
talking,
do it? I mean,
That's
you're already in the rhythm there.
That's it.
and you're talking about this chair. And okay, can I notice the lines of these
I'm not the
swooping lines up and down?
I'm not the QVC person there. What are you talking about?
Notice the hand pleats that Jimmy has so meticulously done.
I don't even
handmade.
do that. You
We
know
count
that.
the pleats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they duplicate over here. The same type of pleat. And then look at the button. The button was handcrafted.
Can we
It's called
dim this
nail
a little
button.
bit?
See this?
Even she's laughing.
I'm not kidding. You got to build yourself up.
Oh
Jimmy,
my
to
God!
Something, you
Look
know?
at I can tell you 10-second chair boom. There we go. Done. No, you got to make. You know what? I'm going to submit your resume to QVC because
Listen.
I think you have potential.
Jimmy.
And I gotta say that if you guys enjoyed Bernice, put in the comments below if you want her to
Yes,
come back.
please.
And Patrick just gave me that look.
For another Q&A.
He just gave
Put
me
you on the
that
spot,
look.
Bernice. If you
Like it's time to go home,
If you get 10
Dad.
comments, you gotta come back for another.
Bernice, can you say something for me? Can you say, do you smell the toast burning?
I'm
Can you
pulling
say
the-
that?
I'm pulling the core before
Can
it's
you
just
say
out of
that?
control.
Do you smell the toast burning? Oh no.
That's the end of it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Oh my God.